You talked about Peter Schrager, and he has
Right.
the Bears trading out of 9 with Malik Neighbors.
Still on the board.
LSU still on the board. It had the who traded up for it?
Colts.
The Colts, and they drafted Malik Neighbors.
Correct.
So you kind of did you give some of your feedback early on the show?
Yeah. So it's two things that are interesting here, right?
Uh-huh.
First thing is that Malik Neighbors that we viewed as wide receiver 2, I think most people consensus, right? And even some say wide receiver 1, which is kind of crazy, but he falls all the way to 9. Obviously, Marvin goes before him, and Rome Odunze goes before him. I think Rome went to the Giants at 6. I think. I could be wrong, but he went before. So you have Malik sitting there at 9. The Bears have a great opportunity to go ahead and take that wide receiver, but they do not. Instead, they trade back with the Colts. The Colts pick up Malik Neighbors, and I think I can't remember where the Colts are drafting. It's somewhere between like 14 and 17 or something like that. Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head, but we end up taking J.C. Latham, the tackle out of Alabama. I'm pretty sure it's Alabama. So interesting. I mean, this is a stacked tackle draft, right? So if it's the best player available, I'm not necessarily mad about that. But if you look at the need perspective, right, or at least you sprinkle that in, we do have Braxton Jones, right? Could J.C. Latham be a better prospect than Braxton? Absolutely. But is it more of a need than wide receiver? Maybe not, because that'd be wide receiver 3. So I definitely understand that. And again, Peter approached this mock draft of like what he's hearing, not what he's going to do, what he thinks the GMs are going to do. It's based off like what people are telling him is most likely going to happen, right? And he still has another mock that comes out, so it could change at that point. But it was just interesting. Is this the first draft?
I want to know who the hell is telling him to pass on Malik Neighbors.
That's crazy. And I think all we got in return for the trade back was a third?
Second.
Oh,
I thought it was the second.
No, you might be right. So second isn't bad. To go back, that would give us, but then you think about it, now we have, does that give us 3 seconds next year?
It's a lot.
Because we already have 2. So we have 3 seconds next year, which is crazy. You know, you can move up to the 1 with that ammo easily with 2 of those seconds. But
seen a lot of scenarios, a lot of mock drafts. And I know this one's supposed to hold some weight. I think there's a comment on YouTube from David. Good name, obviously, but I hope this one is wrong. I hope this is like a worst case scenario for me. Like it would be way worse than like, you know how last year we all wanted the Bears to, if he was there at 9, why is it Carter? Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
We all wanted Jalen Carter because there was rumors, there was smoke that he would slip to the Bears. And if he got there, the Bears weren't going to pass up. Obviously, there was character concerns, but there was a lot of noise surrounding that pick. And if he was obviously available, he was. Bears passed. I was a little upset. Love Darnell Wright. Obviously, looking back at it, I'm fine with it. I'm
Great
cool
move.
with it.
Yeah.
Great move. However, and then I think that other move, I think that draft pick ended up being Keenan Allen or something like that.
Yes.
So anyways.
Yep.
This one would hurt a lot more. If you passed up, obviously Roman Dunze would be a tough pill to swallow, but then there's Malik Neighbors, who a lot of people 1A to 1B. He's probably 1B to Marvin Harrison Jr. in this wide receiver class. That's how talented he is. You saw his pro day at or LSU. Electric, dude. I don't know what his 40 time was. Was it 4.2? Rumor?
Yeah, he's fast.
It's just crazy.
It's pretty high. Yeah.
But for me, Peter, if you're doing the Bears due diligence here and just a service, like, obviously, hey, we're not interested in Malik, blah, 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 something like that. Just hoping that he falls to 9 so the Bears actually pick him. Great. However, this would be like DEFCON 5, passing on a guy like Malik Neighbors, where you have Caleb Williams coming in. And then it's the trade back to 15, not getting, I don't think that's enough. And maybe I'm not looking at the value as in regards to the draft.
I'm okay with the value. I think my thing would be
I think it's Malik Neighbors that plays a role here, though. Like you're passing
that's fair. That's
Malik
fair.
Neighbors.
And then also, I think though, who you also pick. So if you trade back and you take like Jared Verse, right? Again, whatever's best on the board, I trust, right? If that's Pole's best player, like I'm trusting whoever Pole's picks because he's shown he can pick the right people. But from a need perspective, which shouldn't be your driver, let's just start there. It should be best player available. From a need perspective, Jared Verse, is Dallas Turner still there? You know what I mean? And maybe you go, do you go Johnny Newton, the defensive tackle? Do you go Brian Murphy, the defensive tackle? You know what I mean? That's my only concern. Again, Braxton Jones, solid, has done a pretty good job, 5th round pick. a lot of these first round tackles could be better than him. That's not I guess like a crazy take. So if that's what you think you need to do, then do it. Because you know what we've never done in Chicago? Protected our quarterback. You know what Fields had to deal with his whole life in Chicago? Running for his goddamn
Sam
life.
Mustipher.
Like, okay, I've talked about building the trenches. I have. Yeah. I have. But this wide receiver class, at least how it's being sold to us, and that's all I can take is the information because I'm not boots on the ground. I'm not an NFL scout, is that those top 3 wide receivers, like if you look at the top 50 board for most people, consistently, those 3 wide receivers are in your top 7 easily, right? The only lineman that's in there is Joe Alt. All the rest have Rome, Malik, and MHJ. So if one of those is there, come on, you got to pull the trigger. You got to. But
and there's
I trust Peter. So
and there's other mocks that you have the Bears even trading up to like 5 or something like that with like the Chargers to snag Marvin Harrison Jr., who I guess falls in some mocks. Like there's just a lot. There was a comment on YouTube here just a minute ago says I'm ready for this to be over, and I know we're talking about it, but I feel the exact same way. Because I just want to know what happens, man. I want to know. Obviously, we know what happens at 1. Drake May coming to Chicago, and then Caleb Williams, Chicago. Yes. But for me, it's like, what happens? What are the Bears going to do? Because I hear about like what capital, right? How could the Bears trade up? And I feel like that's like a shallow response because like look at the ammo they have next year. And I know you don't want to give it away because like one thing I think fans like to do is hold on to draft capital. It's a huge thing, right?
Yeah, you
love
as
it.
many picks as possible.
Right now we have 4, and it's like it's just not enough. It looks, barren. It just doesn't feel great sometimes. But the value we talked about a couple pods ago, Vicky, the Bears have 4 picks, but they have the 4th most value because of where those picks are at with 1 and 9.
Yeah, 2 of them are top 10.
But you look at next year. I mean, they got some 2 seconds. Obviously, the first they have like 9 or 8
couple
picks.
6. Yeah, they have 8, possibly 9.
They have all their picks plus a couple more. And for me, it's like if they feel like there's a guy they can go and get,
go get him.
That would be an impact for Caleb, whether it be a receiver or even I like Joe Alt. I really do. I like him.
Yeah, I'm gonna take him.
All I'm saying is there's a possibility where it's like I'm not saying they drastically move up, but go from 9 to 5 is possible. It's possible.
Oh, easily.
And some people might not like it, but for me, if that means they go and get their guy, awesome. But for me, best case scenario, Malik Neighbors, Rome Odunze, they do fall to that number 9 pick. And then I wouldn't be mad at edge. I understand it's a huge need. I even like,
I think that's more of a trade back.
Byron Murphy.
Yeah, from Texas. But I think that's more of a trade back.
Byron? It's Byron, right?
Byron, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Byron, okay. I like Byron Murphy. Wouldn't be a sexy pick, right? But it would be one that Flus would think is sexy, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, he would love that. He'd be salivating at the mouth.
Yeah.
Number 9. He might run the card up to Goodell and make the pick.
He may try. They may have to tackle him. Like, no, Flus. We're not going. We're going offense. But like I said, last few years, you see the cornerback room and what it's become because of using, draft picks on the defense. I think it's just time. Double dip. Go the Houston Texans route, but go offensively, right? I know you can go and get maybe the best offensive player. Obviously, the best offensive player in this draft is Caleb Williams. The best prospect probably is Caleb Williams. Then you have the possibility, Vicky, I think you said it last week, if I'm not mistaken, to get the best defensive player off the board as well.
Easily.
Which is crazy to think, and it would be really impactful. But for me, you know where I'm standing. Offense. That's what I want to see.
Look, I'm okay with that. And again, it all depends on what happens from 2 to 8. That we have no idea. That's been such a shakeup. It's literally only Caleb. I'd say the only certified, most people are consistent on, are 2 picks, right? One of them, Caleb Williams in Chicago. I think that's pretty obvious. Mm-hmm. And the second one is Joe Alt to the Titans. And there's one right past us. I think everybody is saying the Jets are going to go all in because they have a 39-year-old quarterback who just came off of Achilles, and they're probably going to go Brock Bowers. That's what I've seen consistently. But other than that, it has been a shit show of what is possibly going to happen.
That's what's so fun about this draft, man. That's why I'm a little jealous you're going to be there live, but getting to see this thing play out. Obviously, you're going to be on the live stream. I'm going to be there, getting to interact with everyone that obviously is a part of the community, and it's going to be an exciting night for Chicago. No matter what happens, man. I think you saw you tweeted a comment on somebody said no matter what happens, the Bears are going to win.
they're in a favorable favorite position no matter what at number 9. And that's why they're so ranked high when it comes to the value of their picks is because think about it. 2 top 10 picks. The Bears, the last time the Bears had 2 top 10 picks, do you know who they selected?
No. Tell me. For some reason.
Dick Butkus and Gale Sayers. That worked out pretty well.
So long ago.
It is. Because it's hard to do.
Crazy.
It's hard to do.
Value.
How about
right
this? The Jets, the last time they had 2 top 10 picks, right? Garrett Wilson, Sauce Gardner. That turned out pretty well, right? Like your hit rate. Like we talk about, like
were they offensive defensive player of the year or rookie of the year?
You know what? They might have been kind of like Houston did last year because that's how Houston was.
That's crazy if that is the case.
So think about it though. So people love to stack picks, right? From a fan perspective and even from a GM perspective, because it is a game of like a lottery. It's a scratch off, right? But your chances of hitting that jackpot are a lot higher within that top 10, right? Like you finding a Hall of Famer, like you can miss in the top 10 easily. You can miss in the 4th round. But the likelihood of you finding a Hall of Famer in the top 10 versus you finding a Hall of Famer in the 4th round is drastically different, right? Like a huge percentage difference. Doesn't mean it can't happen, but it's most likely not going to. So that's why I'm like comfortable with kind of whatever happens here. And again, polls, yes, from a fan perspective, I might be upset if he takes a tackle or something like that. But he has shown from day one with his early picks that he knows how to pick. And he's even hit on some late ones. He's had some misses. Of course, every GM does, but he's done a pretty good job that it wouldn't make sense for me to not trust him. It's not like it's the Ryan Pace era where I'm like, well, we probably don't have a first pick. And if we do, you're not hitting on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it should be fun. We'll see what happens, though. How about this? If you're a betting man, doesn't matter. You can't think about what happens, where people go, blah, 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 blah. Are we trading up? Are we staying put? Are we trading back? What is most likely to happen? Rank those.
Staying put.
Number 1?
Yeah.
And then what? Would you say trade up more than trade back?
No. I would say more leaning towards, if I was betting, it would probably go stay put at number 1, just because I think the impact player you can get, you don't have to worry about him being there. If there's going to be a guy on the Bears board where it's like, yeah, we want this guy. Let's not mess around. Let's get him 1 and 2. What a draft already. And then Poles even said it, his public comments, and this could be a smokescreen. I could be wrong, but he said this draft isn't that deep. Yeah, right there on YouTube, a plastic rock that goes quality over quantity. And that's the thing with this draft. There's a lot more quality players this year around because of the COVID, because of NIL. I think this is the last COVID year are eligible. So it's like the draft is going to change drastically next year. There's going to be a lot more people coming out. And so for me, quality over quantity, I think it's a perfect way to put it. And I would say that, again, stay put at 9, most likely scenario. If I was betting, 2 would be to trade back a little bit. I don't think they go to 15, in my opinion. I feel like it's too far. Maybe it'd be similar to like a last year with Philly, maybe 9 to 10, 9 to 11, 9 to 12. I just don't think they go too far back out. And then trading up, the only way I see that is if Marvin Harrison Jr. slips.
What's the highest you going?
5.
Okay.
I'm not going
Chargers.
4. I'm not going. I don't think Arizona. I heard Arizona's wanting to possibly trade out. I even heard New England as well for some odd reason.
Who knows?
I don't think so.
They need a court.
But for me, I just don't want to go up to 4. I think that would be expensive. I think 5 is where Marvin Harrison, because you're going to know.
You're going to have to go in front of 6, which is the Giants. Because if they're not taking quarterback, they're 100% taking a wide receiver.
Yeah, exactly. So I think 5 would be that would be a spot for me where I'm like, I would burn a second. Could you get up there with Carolina's second? Like, is that too much to get up from 9 to 5? Is that you're giving up too much? I don't know. I just don't know exactly what it's going to take to go from there, because I think you have to factor in who's available, right? Because hey, you want Marvin Harrison Jr.? There's a little premium. There's some tax there, right? For us to move out of this week. We like him. We love him. And if you want to,
that's fair.
You're going to have to really pay.
We do have a question here because I know how you feel about Brock Bowers, so I want to throw this in here. Steven Nordoff on YouTube said, take the 3rd best wide receiver, which I think by most draft boards would be Rome Odunze.
Yeah.
Or you take the best tight end, Brock Bowers. What would you rather do?
Rome.
Rome.
Just because
about
I
this?
love the tight end room in
How
Chicago.
about this, though? You're offered to trade back from 9. Rome's at 9. Let's say Minnesota wants to jump up, okay? I'm just saying that because let's move back like 2 spots.
Yeah.
Right? Or let's just do this. The Jets are right behind us. They've kind of been wanting Brock, or they could take another wide receiver as well.
Yeah.
One trade back, you get a third, right? Most likely for that one move. It's probably not going to be a second unless they have multiple, which I don't think they do. You're getting a third in return, and you take Brock Bowers at 10. Would you do that over taking Rome at 9?
No.
Okay. Me either. I think I'm taking Rome. Give me Rome, man.
We just if tight end was such a need, maybe like it would, I would be like, oh,
2.
absolutely. But it's like you have 2 really good tight ends. You know, maybe not Travis Kelce, maybe not top tier, but Cole Kmet flirts with top 5. You know,
Easily,
week in, week out, in my opinion. So
yeah.
Then you have Gerald Everett, who's a great complementary tight end. Maybe top 10 some weeks. Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of ammo there in that room, and you can maybe go in and find someone else, a younger guy that may not be Brock Bowers, but you know that's a good tight end room where you can maybe groom a really good young tight end, and maybe in a couple years he'll be ready to kind of take the mantle or something. Because Cole's pretty young too. So, anyways,
he's pretty young.
I would go Rome. I would stick at wide receiver.
Okay,
and go from there. So.
All right, well, here's another question then. So we obviously know you view Rome high. I do as well, right? But Caleb here on Twitter says, what is the best pick at 9? Realistically, I don't think Malik's going to be there. So what it could be. It could be.
I was going to say Marvin Harrison Jr. at 9 would be crazy.
That would be wild. But
best pick
out of
at
your
9,
options.
Best pick at 9, Rome Odunze.
Okay.
I like Dallas Turner. I've been high on him. I understand maybe not the scheme fit that what's his name is Verse.
Verse, yep.
But the talent, I just feel like he
has a higher ceiling.
He's just different, man. Like I really think sure he doesn't, sure he doesn't fit, perfectly scheme wise, but it's like I feel like he's just gonna be a game wrecker, and you throw Montez Sweat in there. I like him. So we go Rome, Dallas. I like Byron Murphy. I do. He'd probably be 3. And then Brock Bowers. I like Jared Verse. Jared Verse too. Maybe switch Bowers and Verse maybe just because of value and or not value. I guess like value.
Positional need.
Positional need, and you don't need a tight end. So that's a really good question, Caleb. So I feel like that for me again, probably go offense. At the top right there. But that's just my bias right now because I feel like when it comes to this rookie quarterback, I just want Caleb to succeed. And I'm like, and I understand the trenches. We didn't even talk about that. Like on the offensive side, like I'm fine with what they have right now at the offensive line. Obviously, health is a huge factor there.
Yeah, health.
But I'm cool with it, man. I'm cool with it. Like
if Nate Davis plays like how I think expect that he will play, right?
Yeah.
Obviously not having to deal with such a major grieving period of his time.
I don't think
and then Tevin Jenkins also does like he's been when he's healthy. I know that's a big caveat, but when he's healthy, one of the top guards in the league. So now you have both your guards playing at above good to great, and then Darnell Wright taking another big step. Braxton Jones possibly taking another good step. I mean, you got a decent, maybe top 17 line that like serviceable for a rookie quarterback.
Yeah. So Nate Davis, I think a lot of people don't understand what he was dealing with early on when, during camp, during like OTAs and everything, like, losing his mom,
yeah.
His someone that's so close to you, right? I understand he gets paid. It's a job. I get it. On top of that, did he have a great year? No, but he was very good, or he was good most weeks. There was times you could take watching the film. There was times where like, what the fuck was Nate Davis doing? What is the line doing? Right? What is our center doing? What is Cody White? So for me, I think there has to be a multiplier here, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to the moves they made this offseason, right? They brought in a new center. What's his name? Why do I always forget his name?
Sheldon and
no, the other guy. Bates, the one that they wanted a couple years ago, right?
Yeah,
Ryan Bates.
From the Rams. Mm-hmm.
From the Rams. I like that. That's a solid move. It's not Sam Mustipher, man. Like it's an upgrade.
It is not.
It's better than Lucas Patrick as well, in my opinion.
Facts.
So you got a little bit slightly better there. And I think Tevin Jenkins, if everyone remains healthy, it's going to be those two guys, Tevin Jenkins, Darnell Wright, are going to be able to multiply this line, be able to really make an impact if they can stay on the field. And then Nate Davis, I think he's going to have a better year. He's more focused. Of course, I could look back at this and you could pull the receipts and I look ridiculous.
Well,
but for me,
but
I would be totally fine. It wouldn't be splashy similar to Darnell Wright if they went with another tackle or even somehow got, I heard, what's his name? JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson. I've heard him slipping all the way to the second round. And for me, I would almost be intrigued.
Trade back,
do you
maybe?
Use it? Well, not even a trade back. Say you stick
up
at 9. And maybe it is a little much to trade up for a center. But that would be nuts to be able to use maybe some ammo from 2025 to get back into the second round and snag a JPJ who's been falls, because I've heard there's been talking about him not being a first rounder anymore. And that would be insane good value, especially if he can be your center for 10 years with Caleb.
Yep.
So
I
might be talking about my ass. Like I said, we need the draft to get here because I'm getting crazy.
I mean, that's what it is, though. Even with these GMs, it's all projection. So we're just guessing based off information that we have. You know what I mean? They have way more, obviously. They've been looking at these players for, some of them years and obviously months and months. So, but it's all projection. That's why if it was that easy, all these GMs would get it right? Or they would get it right a lot more than what they do. I bet, I don't know this number off the top of my head, but I bet you the GM average is probably like a baseball statistic. I bet they bat like 30%, maybe a little bit higher, 40.
Yeah.
You think they're over 500? I don't think so.
No, man, it's a tough
especially
game.
Not in the earlier rounds because there's so much expectation and a lot of those guys flop. You see so many flops in the first round, or bust is what we like to call them. Here's one last question we have here from David on YouTube. Said, what do you guys think it would take to get the Cards to move back from 9? Both of our 2025 seconds? Yeah, probably. At least one of them.
At 4? Oh, man.
Yeah, probably.
The top 10 picks, like the top prospects in this draft are so stacked, in my opinion. Like they have such value and they're held in such a high regard at their positions. Like Marvin Harrison Jr., and maybe it's just like draft fatigue, but if you remember, like he really is generational. Like that tag, like is fair because he's insane. He's a freak athlete. He's a freak build. Like that right there would be expensive. So I think two seconds would be what did Houston? I don't even remember where they came from. I just feel like, yes, it is going to be, you're going to pay a tax. You're going to pay a premium to get into to go from 9 to 4 would be expensive. And I don't know if I would want to do that. I'd be excited.
Of course.
I'll be fucking hyped.
Yeah, of course.
Fuck a draft pick on draft night. If it's 2025 we're thinking about, like I would be a little bit more upset probably, a couple days after or maybe next year. I don't even know when it would sink in. But if Marvin Harrison Jr. is putting up 1,300 yard seasons, back to back, and you got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, and then of course Caleb's going to look great with that move as well.